Hey guys, welcome back to the Pharos Rewind podcast, going back over our favorite podcasts over the years. Greetings from a very cold and snowy Idlewild. I hope you guys are all okay out there in this extreme weather conditions. This podcast is on what I call high performance hypertrophy. This came about from basically my love of both bodybuilding and CrossFit, wanting to get the best of both worlds, wanting to build muscle, wanting to look good, wanting to feel good, wanting to still feel capable and athletic, while still, focusing on some aesthetic stuff. So I basically combined a lot of bodybuilding stuff with a lot of CrossFit type stuff. And it basically evolved into something called high performance hypertrophy. And a lot of the programs that I write, especially for build, fall into this category. So listen to the podcast, check it out. I think it's a good one. I think you guys will enjoy it, and let me know your thoughts. And I'll see you soon in the gym. Take care. Bye.
Welcome to the Pharos Fit podcast, where we help you to explore your capacity to move better, push further, and achieve your limitless potential through fitness, nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pharos Fit podcasts. I'm here today with Brendan, just me and Brendan on this one today. How you doing, bud?
Doing great. Very excited to be back in the saddle with the Pharos Fit podcast.
It's another crazy day in LA, in America, and in the world. But as we were just saying before the podcast started, like the one thing we can always just go back to and rely on is training, weightlifting. 225 pounds is always 225 pounds, and fitness is the one thing we can try and the one thing that can kind of save our day, the one thing that we can kind of control, even though it's harder to control right now with the restrictions. But
I mean, kudos to you guys. You've done a great job of taking care of people, making sure they can come in and get the stuff done they need, do it the healthy and right way at the city. So
yeah, that's our job. That's what we have to do. We have to do what we can and what we feel is right, and our purpose is to, as provide the best possible service we can to keep people fit, keep people healthy, keep people strong. And honestly, at this point, I find it's more of a mental thing than anything else. It's just a mindset thing of just giving people something to focus on, to put their minds on, something positive, something to look forward to in the day. And yeah, it's I know for a lot of us, including myself, like fitness is the one thing that kind of can get you through when everything else kind of seems uncontrollable.
Absolutely. It's an all-encompassing thing. It's community. It's also taking care of your health at the same time. You're hitting on so many different things when you get to come in here and grind it out with a few other people.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. It's like a 5-in-1.
Yeah. Okay, guys, today I want to talk a little bit about this new program we got coming out called High Performance Hypertrophy. We do have the Limitless Challenge coming up, and there are multiple programs available during the Limitless Challenge. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Obviously, we are all in different places. We all have different experience. We're all looking for different things. And this challenge in particular is not just about fitness and calories and fat loss and all that kind of stuff. It's very much a kind of healthy mind, healthy body kind of challenge. That said, of course, there are different programs that are going to appeal to different people, and that we're going to apply different stresses and different challenges that will appeal to different people. And high performance hypertrophy is going to be a very specific program that is going to appeal to a very specific portion of the community. So I want to talk a little bit today about what it's about, who it's for, what you can expect from it, and what you would need, kind of physically, the tools you would need, but also kind of the experience you would need to be able to kind of endure this program successfully. Because, like I said, it's not for everybody. There is something for everybody, but this program specifically is, again, for a specific kind of demographic. So broadly speaking, the program itself, if we were to define it, it would be a hybrid program that is designed to increase strength, induce hypertrophy, and elevate conditioning. Now, I know that sounds like a lot in one program. And people are going to say, well, why are you trying to do everything at once? Why don't you focus on one thing and not on the other? And you would get better results if you would get stronger if you just did strength, and you would get better muscle growth if you just did hypertrophy, and you'll get better conditioned if you just did conditioning. And there's certainly an argument for that, but there is a very strong reason why we are doing this program in the way that we are doing it, and why I believe for a lot of people, it's going to be not only a very successful program, but a very appealing program to a lot of people. Using myself as an example, like a lot of people who are kind of in my position. So I guess the question, first of all, is why this program? Why did I build it the way I built it? Why does it exist? What is the need for it? What value does it have? Now, one of the main things about it is I've done a lot of kind of like what you would call kind of GPP or CrossFit-type hybrid programs where you're mixing in a lot of stuff, throwing it together, and trying to become the ultimate human being, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. It's like, I want to be a superhero. I want to be able to do everything, so I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at it. I found that most of these types of program have left me feeling somewhat burnt out because they apply too much of a specific kind of stress that overloads my system and leaves me kind of like done. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to build something that doesn't do that, firstly, and I wanted to build something that is more broadly applicable for a broader kind of base of the community. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, like I said in the description, there is a certain amount of strength, there is a certain amount of hypertrophy, and there is a certain amount of conditioning. What there isn't a lot of is very high-skilled movements. So, although this program is dense, it is not overly complicated. It does not require a very, very high skill set. There are some slightly more technical movements. For example, there is a power clean in there, a power clean and jerk. There are some athletic type lifts, but there are no kind of full Olympic lifts in there. There are no kind of like, double unders, anything that requires like a high skill level that you would need to like specifically learn a skill for and spend time learning that skill. That isn't in there. It's a lot of kind of basic movements, some sprints, compound lifts, isolation lifts, stuff that most people who have a degree of training history can do. It's just put together in a way that is, like I said, fairly high volume, fairly high intensity at times. It will be very challenging at times, but it is not overly skillful, overly difficult to actually perform any of the tasks that are asked of you. Although mentally it will be challenging in terms of what skills you need. You don't need too many. So I want to avoid people burning out. I want to avoid like any kind of like high risk injury. Like I said, there's no like overly complicated movements. I want this program to be more about health, more about longevity, and also a lot to do with motivation and mindset. Now, for someone like myself and for a lot of my clients, a lot of people who are kind of in my position, I'm 42, I believe, right now. I always forget that I'm 42, 43, 41, but I believe I'm 42.
I always get the ages wrong as well.
Yeah.
I'm 31 now. Like,
the older you get, the less the years seem to mean.
It doesn't matter anymore.
As a 42-year-old man who's kind of done like most things in the gym, I have come to the realization that I can't just do one thing. Like I've done like just a bodybuilding program, and I've done just a strength training program, and I've done just conditioning programs. And it's not that they don't work physically, it's that mentally I lose interest, or I lose motivation, or I lose inspiration, or I don't feel great. I need that broader spectrum to kind of keep me where I need to be mentally and physically. I want to be able to move. I want to feel strong. I want to maintain as much lean muscle tissue as I can, and build some if I can, even at 42, and obviously clean, whatever that means. I have found in the past that other programs, either it has made me lose weight, that I didn't want to lose, or lose muscle that I didn't want to lose, or like I said before, just kind of left me generally feeling kind of burnt out. So, I wanted to build a program that is very structured. If you guys ever follow my program, you know that it's always structured. Probably to some people, it's like, oh my God, when is he going to break the cycle? And like most cycles I do, it's 3-week cycles. So for the Limitless challenge, it will be 2 3-week cycles. Obviously, both of those 3-week cycles are difficult, although one builds upon the other. So the 3-week cycle is very structured. You are, as always, experiencing progressive overload as you go, as in the weight gets heavier or the load gets more, or the reps get higher, whatever it may be that you're working on that day. But it's a very thought out, structured program that covers a lot of bases. So the next thing to say is kind of like how it breaks down on a weekly basis, because I know I've talked about a lot of things already. I'm just going to take a drink of this Fede. Not a sponsor, not yet. How does it break down on a weekly basis? So if I look at my working week, a lot of people kind of think like, how should my week break down? Like, I know I want to do a lot of stuff. I know what interests me. I know how I want to feel, but I don't know how to like break it down. I don't know how to break down my week. So if we take it down through a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of concept, and we start with Monday. On this program specifically, Monday, we'll be working on strength and explosive power. So it may be, in fact, on this program, it is a lower body strength day on a Monday. So I'm going to be working my bigger compound heavy lifts on a Monday. So let's just say, for example, I'm doing heavy front squats on a Monday with some accessory lifts. And then I have some power output at the end with some very short, what I call anabolic sprints. So I've got my strength work and I've got my power work. So a fairly high, what we call CNS day, high central nervous system activation. I'm focusing on building strength. I'm trying to get as strong as I possibly can on a Monday. And I'm including big multi-joint compound lifts that are going to improve my overall strength as well as my central nervous system activation. Mm-hmm. And as I said, my kind of power output at the end. So I'm covering strength and power on that day. Of course, there are warm-ups, structural warm-ups. There's an aerobic warm-up at the beginning. But I'm saying to myself that the main meat and potatoes of my work on this day is going to be strength and power. So that'll be my Monday. Now, that's a lower body strength day on a Monday, let's say. And then on a Tuesday, I go into an upper body hypertrophy day. So as most of you guys know, there's a big difference between strength and hypertrophy. If I want to allow my muscles to grow, there's kind of a specific rep range and a specific intensity that I want to be working in on those days. And that's what I'm going to do on a Tuesday. So it's going to be some upper body hypertrophy circuits where, again, I'm going to come in. I have a warm-up. I have some structural stuff to do. And then I've got some hypertrophy-based circuits for the upper body on a Tuesday. So it's going to feel like a different stimulus than the Monday. I would say less of a central nervous system fatigue day, more of a kind of strength endurance, lactic acid, muscle building day, which I kind of look forward to on a Tuesday after the stress of a Monday. But it gives you a nice balance in there. So far I've got Monday strength, Tuesday hypertrophy, and then on the Wednesday, I move in what I call like an endurance / mindset day. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, firstly, if I'm working endurance, I've got obviously conditioning endurance, so it's going to be a longer cardiovascular effort. Mm-hmm. But I can also think about strength endurance, lifting something for a long period of time in a higher rep range. And I can also think about mental endurance. So Wednesday is more of what I call like a challenge day, where I'm really asking myself the big questions. Like, what can you endure? I'm putting myself in a really uncomfortable position. often I'm not sure whether I can finish. Often I don't want to finish, and I have to kind of like push through beyond the limitations that my mind might be tempted to fall into. And I include these days because I think once or twice a week it's really important to get these workouts in, to ask yourself the big questions, because these are the kind of workouts that really push you to the next level, that ask the big questions of yourself as a human being, as well as an athlete. And these are the kind of workouts that really build character, really build integrity, and really force you to dig deep and ask the big questions of yourself. These are the kind of workouts that we do in here to make you stronger out there. So I always like to include these kinds of workouts because they have extreme value, not just in the gym, but also outside the gym. So that will be the Wednesday. I've been experimenting with all of these workouts for the past few weeks, and Wednesdays have been certainly the hardest, probably the least enjoyable, but ultimately kind of give you the biggest feeling of kind of satisfaction at the end of it once you've recovered, should say. But so that will be the Wednesday. Thursday, we have what we call a rest or recovery day. Now, some people will do better with a complete rest. Certainly kind of more novice lifters or people with less training experience might do better with a full rest day on a Thursday. Other people might do better with a recovery session. Now, a recovery session would just be 60 minutes of light aerobic work. So I might just jump on a bike for 60 minutes. I might go on the Stairmaster for 60 minutes. I might go for a hike for 60 minutes. I might ride my bike outside for 60 minutes. I might go for a jog for 60 minutes. Just light recovery work. I might go for a swim if you're in a place where you can swim. Just something to get the blood flowing, allow the muscles to recover, allow your central nervous system to recover. This should not be a hard day. This should be a recovery day. But I'm gonna let my body repair. I'm gonna let it rest. I'm gonna prepare myself for tomorrow, for the next day, because I know I'm gonna have to step things up the day after. So this is the day when you give yourself a bit of self-care, a bit of self-love, and really pay attention to your recovery and your repair protocols. Then I come back the next day on the Friday with a lower body hypertrophy day. So I've already done my lower body strength down on Monday, and now on a Thursday I'm going to focus more on hypertrophy. So I'm back to my kind of medium rep ranges, my hypertrophy rep ranges. So kind of that 8 to 20 kind of rep ranges actually on this program. So
are there any specific exercises for those days that you're going to be hitting on, or
there's certainly more isolation work on the hypertrophy day. Like I said, on the Monday when we do the strength work, we tend to focus more on the big compound lifts. On the hypertrophy day, we certainly focus more, not to say there aren't compound lifts, because there are, but we add a lot more isolation type work, trying to isolate the muscle, build the weaker muscles, and like I said before, induce hypertrophy through very specific rep ranges on very specific exercises. Sometimes a lot of us, when we do our big compound lift, like our squats and our deadlifts, we will favor certain muscle groups, like you've heard of, like quad dominant squatters, for example. Sometimes you need to add in some isolation work to build up the other muscles around the dominant muscle, or improve weaknesses or improve structural balance, kind of thing. So it's designed to really, like I said, work the muscles that may get ignored when you do your compound lift, or just underdeveloped muscles. Like I said, there is a difference between strength and hypertrophy, so we're trying to find that kind of sweet spot between both, in a way that doesn't, in a way that makes sense, that fits into the course of the week and the cycle. It doesn't like overtrain you, or it doesn't like overwork a single muscle. It has balance, it has structure, and like I said, it allows you to get the best of both worlds, which is of course the goal here. The next day then, after the lower body hypertrophy, is the upper body strength and power day. So very similar to the Monday with the lower body strength. Here I'm going to work my big compound upper body lifts, so my heavy bench, that kind of thing. Also some structural support work and some power work in there again at the end. So more explosive work, more sprint type work, stuff that's going to be high central nervous system demand, and give me that kind of again, that sensation of strength, of feeling powerful, of feeling strong, and long term increasing our 1 rep maxes, or the ability that we have to move big objects quickly is the goal. Be strong and be explosive. And then followed by, again, we have a rest or a recovery day on the Sunday. There will be an option in the program to do our arms race program, which is as you know, just biceps and triceps.
Always advised.
Yeah, on a Sunday. Again, low central nervous system demand, meant to be, just a bit of fun on a Sunday. Let the body recover. By all means, take a complete rest or go for a hike, whatever it is. Or if you're, if you're particularly concerned about your biceps and triceps, like a lot of us are, then throw that in there. But the most important thing is obviously that you don't fatigue yourself on a Sunday, because Monday's coming around very fast. So, as you look at that week and you realize, the kind of like the density of it, obviously repair, recovery protocols do become a huge factor. So, Epsom salt baths, lots of mobility work, ice baths if you can get them, plenty of sleep. Go to bed at 9 o'clock. That's always my advice. If you can, the more sleep you can get, the better. I'll talk about nutrition and hydration in a second. But these sessions really take 75 minutes to 90 minutes. So an important thing to kind of cover before you decide to undertake this program is you need to give yourself 75 to 90 minutes, because there's a lot in this program. Like I said, with the warm-ups, there is, a kind of aerobic warm-up at the start of all these days. The purpose of which is to, burn some extra fat and build that aerobic capacity somewhat. But really, beyond just the fat oxidation, it allows us to prepare mentally for the work ahead. So I find for myself, over the years, like 5-minute warm-up doesn't really get me like where I need to be. 10-minute can have value. But I found like a solid 20-minute, like steady state cardiovascular effort, get a sweat on, get the body warm, really helps get my mind where it needs to be to have a successful session.
Even throwing like an EMOM together for a 20-minute warm up with different exercises in there to get you
right.
going.
Yeah. This really helps me like mentally get in the place that I need to be in to have a successful workout. Now, there might be people out there that are saying, well, can I cut that to 10 minutes? Yes, you can. Of course you can. But just know that there is obviously less of an effect happening over 10 minutes than there is over 20 minutes. So, it is in there for a very specific reason. We are trying to do all of these things. Like I said before, we're trying to build that aerobic base. We're trying to mentally prepare ourselves. We're trying to oxidize some fat and get us where we need to be to have the most successful program possible. So I would advise that you kind of, if you can, follow the program as written. Now, as I just mentioned, hydration is going to be key on this program, as is nutrition, of course. I kind of advise most of my guys to take up the gallon challenge. Mm-hmm. I should have my gallon jug here. I don't have it. I just have my Friday thing. But so I have a gallon challenge jug that I use that helps me make sure I drink a gallon of water a day. You'll be amazed the difference it makes when you feel hydrated. Dehydration is one of the biggest factors when it comes to underperforming or just feeling generally tired or not wanting to train. So I would advise everybody to hydrate and try and get that gallon down. Sip it through the day. It shouldn't be like trying to consume a gallon an hour.
Don't do that. Don't do it.
Or the worst thing is trying to consume half a gallon before you go to bed. That's the worst thing. So slip it slowly throughout the day and try and get that gallon down. Now, when it comes to nutrition, of course, we like a relatively high protein diet. I like those protein sources to come from real food, not chemically engineered food. So I like my lean steak. I like my lean meats, my chicken, my fish, my some dairy, some cottage cheese, that kind of thing. But honestly, a lot of my protein comes from bison, beef, elk, that kind of thing.
No protein shakes, or
I do have protein shakes, just because my numbers are so high that you
have to supplement somehow. Yeah.
But the majority of your protein and the majority of your nutrition in general should come from real food sources. Protein shakes are a convenience.
Yeah.
And, like I said, if your numbers are high, then it's something you will likely have to do. But as much as you can, try and get that real food down. Medium carbs, medium fats. What do I mean by that? Well, it really depends on the person and how best they respond to these two macronutrients. Obviously, in this program, especially on your kind of performance days, when you have, like, let's say the Wednesday, when you have that kind of high endurance workout, or when you have those high central nervous system workouts, some glycogen is going to be necessary. Otherwise, you'll just quite simply underperform. So when I design nutrition for people, it always starts with the protein. Standard is 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Again, kind of depending on the person. And then I'll build the carbs and fats, on the back of that, to get us the calories we need, divided between the carbs and the fats, depending on what the person's really looking for and how well I think they're going to respond to these different macronutrients. So just know that you need both for this program in different degrees. For guys, they might be having anywhere between 70 and 100 grams of fat a day. Girls might be anywhere between 40 and 80, broadly speaking. But obviously, these are huge variations, and that can change from person to person. And then the rest of the calories will be made up with carbohydrates. But it's always proteins first, and then carbs and fats kind of get divided through the remainder of the calories. And of course, if you've listened to this podcast before, or if you've ever done like any nutrition at Pharos, we find it most effective to have those carbohydrates around your training schedule. So in the meal before and the meal after training, that's when we fuel and that's when we replenish. We find that to be very effective. And then I prefer the fats to come kind of like later in the day, kind of like the meals furthest away from your training.
And what's the reason for that one?
So that it doesn't interfere with your protein synthesis. Like if you have fats and proteins together, it can slow down the protein synthesis.
Yeah.
So
protein and carbs together, better synthesis.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then protein and fats in the evening. Fats are great, obviously, for your hormonal health, as well as energy. But in order to keep our hormones healthy, obviously, for a lot of guys, testosterone is key, and fats help with testosterone. So especially if we're not like supplementing with testosterone. So
our hormone system's replenished in the evening too when we're sleeping. So
correct.
I think you're right. That's actually a better thing to get your fats, before bed,
right,
or in the evening meal.
Right. Yeah, I find that to be very effective. So yeah, the nutrition and hydration are going to be key, because if you're not on point with it, A, you won't get the results you want. B, you'll feel tired all the time. And so you'll just get frustrated. It's like, well, I put in all this work and I'm not getting the results I want. More times than not, it always comes down to nutrition and hydration. Like I've seen it a bunch of times. So it's very important that when you do a program like this, you pay attention to those details. It's not just about getting in the gym and doing the work. That's obviously part of it. But really, the magic happens with the food, with the hydration, and with the sleep. Like you have to stay on top of those things to complement your workouts, because you cannot have one without the other if you want to get the results that you're looking for. So there has to be that balance.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't know how I did in my younger age. The party all night, play basketball the next day, or this and that. Like now, if I don't get just like 6, I'm just depleted the next day.
Yeah, especially like at the age of man. I mean, I've always been bad with low hours of sleep. But now, if I do not get 6 hours, or it's hard with the kid and stuff. Sometimes Wyatt will wake up in the night and I'll be up, and then I get up at 5. So it's like the days when I don't get 6 hours, I feel like death. Like it's really bad for me. I can get through it, like, and I'll caffeine my way the fuck through the day, but it's bad. It's bad. So sleep is one of the biggest things. When I have a client, like one of the first questions I'll ask them is, how much sleep do you get? Because you can't expect to get through a successful program without good sleep. It just does not work. So sleep is always key. So the next kind of point I wanted to kind of go on is like, where did this program come from? Where did these ideas come from? And I wanted to kind of like shout out to a few people, and be like, as always with programming, I don't want anyone to think these are all my ideas, and these aren't like new fitness things that I've developed. These are just things that I'm putting together. Obviously, I've had a lot of influences over the years, and a lot of inspiration, and a lot of my education comes from other people. So a lot of the hypertrophy kind of stuff, I'm reading a lot of Neil Hill stuff, a lot of his Y3T type programming. Super smart guy, super interesting guy, fascinating guy, very successful guy when it comes to hypertrophy. Prepares a lot of the Olympia guys and girls. So he's been a huge influence on the hypertrophy side of things. And then a lot of the strength type protocols, kind of loosely based on Wendler's 531 program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's a very, very good, basic, simple, straightforward, but very, very effective strength program. So there are variations. It's not exactly that, but there are variations on that. I put some like classic kind of like mindset, Jim Jones type stuff in there, which, has always been a big part of my kind of situation. And then, obviously this whole kind of like hybrid concept, we have to kind of like take a little bit of a hat off to CrossFit, because they really did bring the hybrid athlete to the forefront of like modern training. I don't think we can argue against that. So, shout out to all those people. And it really becomes, when you're writing a program like this, it really becomes something where you're taking all of your influences, you're taking all of your experiences, and you're trying to put it together and construct something that makes sense, that one thing doesn't detract from the other, everything adds to each other, and you come up with something that works. And again, you could do one of these things. If you are only ever interested in hypertrophy, you could just do hypertrophy and you would get like better results in terms of hypertrophy. If you were just wanted to get strong and all you cared about was getting strong, then you could just do strength and accessory work. Or if you just wanted to get better at conditioning, you could just do conditioning all the time and get better that way. But like I said before, for me, and I know there's a lot of people in my situation, they find the sweet spot is in that kind of hybrid athlete, picture. So I have a little bit of everything. It motivates me, it inspires me, it keeps me interested. I still get to do cool shit, but I still get to do meaningful things, smart things, things that, again, add muscle, make me stronger, and get me better condition.
No, I completely agree. I mean, as someone who's been in the gym and working out and training their whole life, to not get bored. Right. And to be doing that same thing, it's so hard. So I need to be going in to a class every now and then. I got to be joining a program to just see and test different things. Because if not, it's like, it's like, I need to go just do some regular deadlifts and, this kind of system I'm working with right now. Or is it like, no, I need to be going in somebody who knows way much more than me.
Right.
Can train me and also put me in through the ringer to understand and give me new concepts to just expand my mind so I can enjoy it more. Because if not, like you said, it just becomes a tedious chore going to work out, and we don't want people to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, long term motivation is more important than anything. Like, as soon as you lose any kind of motivation, it makes it very hard to get anything done. And we've all done those programs where you know, you're 2 weeks into it and you're just like, oh my God, like there's another fucking 6 weeks of this. Like I'm just bored. So, you know, although we shouldn't just seek entertainment for fitness, there has to at some point be something that keeps us excited, and you want to be able to like wake up in the morning and think, fuck yeah, I'm going to the gym and it's going to be awesome. Like that's the sensation you want. You want to go to bed at night excited about what you're going to do the next day. So motivation is a huge factor in these things. So what can you expect from the program? So broadly speaking, increases in strength, improved conditioning, muscle growth, lean body composition, and all-round GPP. I know, again, it sounds like a lot of things in one cocktail, but that's exactly what it is. If you stick to the program, if you stick to the diet, if you sleep, and if you kind of like go the distance in all of these areas, that's what you can expect from this program. Obviously, the Limitless Challenge is a 6-week program, which is 2 cycles. So, you know, how much can you expect in 6 weeks? You know, if you've been training for a long time, you know like how much you can expect in 6 weeks. You can't expect miracles, but you can expect growth. You can expect improvements, and you can expect to get yourself kind of on the right track to move forward from. So, you know, nobody at Pharos is talking about 6 weeks to dramatically change your like appearance, life, anything. All we're saying is 6 weeks is a good amount of time to give you a reset, get you on the right path, get you motivated, get you excited, give you education, give you knowledge, give you self-awareness, you know, all of these things that are gonna set you up for 2021. And then who's it for? I mean, really, like I said before, this isn't for everybody. I would recommend at least 2 years training history. So 2 years of training behind you. You should have a good understanding of the basic lifts, because, you know, a lot of you guys are obviously going to be doing this at home on your own, and you want to be able to do these things safely and successfully. So I would recommend at least 2 years of training history. Again, you need to allow yourself 75 to 90 minutes 5 times a week. You can take those 2 rest days, but you are going to need 75 to 90 minutes a day. So make sure you can afford that amount of time. If you can't, we have other programs that will be better for you. So don't worry about that. And I would also add driven. Like it takes a driven mentality to do this kind of a program, just because it is very demanding. So it isn't something where you're like, well, I'm kind of like halfway in, halfway out. Like kind of, it's like this is an all-in kind of program. So you definitely have to be.
We're gonna expect you to show up every day.
Yeah. You gotta be like, okay, I'm in this for the hard graft. It's a hard program with a lot of moving parts. And like I said, you have to pay attention to the workouts. You have to pay attention to the recovery. You have to pay attention to the nutrition and the hydration. All will be necessary to kind of like I said, go the distance. So that's what it's going to take. And that's kind of it, Brandon, unless you have any questions for me.
I mean, if I could just make another statement. I mean, I know you guys, you know, you said it's the next level up for the program you want to do. And, you know, Pete's going to say he's not going to burn you out, because burnout is a big thing when you think you want to come back into it and hit it hard. And I mean, if it's just tapered off, like that good 75 to 80%, sometimes you say the hit of your max on a set is what we're going for, or 75, 80% of your heart rate you're trying to hit, like your max, like that's the flow you want to be looking for. And that's where you want to be hitting in these courses.
Yeah. And also like, I know a lot of people will be doing this program at home, obviously. And we've got this like Pharos Fortress thing that we've got set up now where people can come and pick up equipment. So that will help. There is obviously in this program, there is barbell work in here. This isn't a program you can just kind of do with a pair of dumbbells and a bench. You will need other stuff. So if you guys out there do need equipment and you're doing this program, then hit us up, because we do have equipment that we can get to you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's exciting. It's an exciting thing to add. And yeah, don't be afraid to obviously reach out to me, ask me questions if you do have questions about this program, whether you should do it, whether you should not do it. And yeah, I'll be more than happy to help you guys out and give you the information you need. But that is it for today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you're safe out there. I hope you're all like keeping up with your fitness and starting 2021 the right way. Stay courageous out there, and we'll catch you real soon. Thanks so much, Gunnar and Brennan. I appreciate it.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, bye.